All right, welcome everyone to another edition of Webinar Wednesday. It's really great to be with everyone here today. As you know, the webinars are generally every 2 weeks, and we're just approaching webinar 90, so it's a really great milestone that we're able to reach here together, and it's really thanks to everyone's participation and joining the webinars and really keeping their interest. So I want to say thank you, and we have a really great presentation for you guys here today. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. I am Jason there on the left, and we're lucky to be joined by David Rockland, the digital strategist here at Brilliant Directories. David, thanks for taking the time to join us today.
Of course, happy to be here. We've got some great troubleshooting tips coming up.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, we have some common questions to something everyone needs to set up on their site answered in today's webinar, and we will get to those soon with a special guest, by the way. I always like to mention, if you're not a member of our free Facebook group, you can always join us at brilliantdirectories.com/Facebook. It's a great place to continue the conversations in between Webinar Wednesdays. You can just head on over to that URL and click on the join button, and you can join our family there at brilliantdirectories.com/Facebook. And I always like to mention, for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. Webinar Wednesdays are a lot of fun. Great suggestions are always made from the attendees, from you guys out there, and it's a great way to collaborate together on how to leverage some of the features built into Brilliant Directories to kind of grow your idea a lot faster on the internet. So some topics we like to cover are, how to use some of the features to increase your traffic, converting some of the web visitors into actual members. One of my personal favorites is simplifying and improving your website's navigation, your main menu links, call to action links, and more, just to provide a better experience for the visitors, which ultimately results in more conversions. So if you have questions on any of these topics or anything related to these, please save them. We'll try to get to as many questions as we can very soon. All right, one of my favorite parts of the webinars, the BD Lab updates. The team is always very busy pushing both small and large updates to the platform to improve functionality for you guys. A lot of the updates are from the suggestions either emailed into our support team or from the Facebook group. So I just want to say thank you to everyone for your participation in helping to make the platform better for everyone. I'll dive right into these. Some of them I can show you examples of. Some of them are still coming soon. The first one there at the top of the list, there is a new, it's just aesthetics. It's a new design layout for the advanced settings section in the admin area. And let me kind of show you what that looks like under your settings. And if you go to advanced settings, and I've kind of given a sneak peek of this in the previous webinars, but previously to this, all the advanced settings were like a single input field where you would have to type in a 0 or a 1, or you'd have to manually enter in the value you wanted for that advanced setting. So this is an ongoing project. We've released the phase 1. So now instead of 0s and 1s, you have on and off switches. And when there are multiple options, that pre-selected options that you can choose from, they will be in drop downs. So you can easily select them like this. You don't have to manually type them in. And a real benefit to this is it will help reduce any potential user errors. Maybe you misspelled something, maybe there was an extra space added to it. So this is going to help eliminate a lot of that for you and kind of just make things a lot simpler. What's really cool about this is really just the catalyst on some of the areas we want to add this similar design in the admin area. So for example, if we go to the general settings, which still currently has the older layout option, we see these input fields like this, which is fine in a 2-column system. But I think once we start applying this look to different areas of the admin with proper descriptions, there's tons of settings baked into the Brilliant Directories platform. This is going to make things a lot easier, especially for new people finding the platform. This next one is really cool. If you have multiple sites with Brilliant Directories, you log in with one username into the admin dashboard area, and then at the top of the screen, you can toggle between the website you want to go in and start working on and editing. Up until now, actually, the last site assigned to your account would be the one you would be logged into by default. Well, now you can actually choose your primary site that you want to be logged into. So if you have, multiple sites and there's one that you're really working on a daily basis and you want to avoid having to, go up here and toggle between your sites, just go ahead to the settings tab and then the admin accounts, and just feel free to go ahead and edit your own admin account. And there is this option here when you have multiple sites assigned to your account. Log in first by default. It's referring to logging into the first site in the admin dashboard, and you can easily toggle between the two sites or whatever site you'd like to be logged in as when you enter the admin dashboard. So for those who have multiple sites, this can save you an extra couple clicks when you're starting your workday on your site. This is another quality of life, very simple, just a quick link to your membership plans, especially when you're editing your membership plans. I can show you where that is. So under your Finance tab, you can go to Membership Plans. And let's say you're editing one of your membership plans. You'll now see this blue link here, a link here that links to the sign up page directly. So as you're making your edits, rather than having to go back to view all your membership plans and then clicking on the sign up page, you have that here right now, and it'll take you directly to the sign up page. Having this button here, if it wasn't here, generally what you do is you click the back button and then you click the button here, sign up page. So that kind of just saves you an extra step. If you're making quick edits to the pricing and you want to see it on the live sign up page, you can certainly do so with that link there now. This one's really important, and if you really haven't updated your spam keyword list lately, I would just recommend everyone go ahead and do this. There is a spam protector on everyone's sites, and you can basically enter a set of keywords, and if those keywords are attempted to be submitted with like your contact us form or on a sign up page, it will block that submission and help protect your site from unwanted inquiries. We do have a set of default keywords that we've compiled. We've associated them with multiple spam messages. As we all know, spam is relentless. So this is just one tool to assist with that. However, we do keep the list updated from time to time as we learn of new trends for inquiries that have a high potential to be spam. So if you go to, let me backtrack a bit, your general settings, and then to your integrations tab, and if you scroll down to the block spam keyword list, so it's a comma separated list, you can add or remove whatever keywords are right for your site. But there is a button here now. You can click on Restore Recommended Block List, and we saw the list just got a little bigger there. And then you can go ahead and save your changes. And what this is really going to do is just BD's recommended keywords that we think that every site should block would be here. You can obviously add additional keywords at the tail end of this for your site, or you can remove keywords from this list as well. But just to make sure that your block list is up to date, you can click this blue button and then click your Save Changes button down here. All right, this one's actually really important. I think everyone should take advantage of it because really it's going to allow you to welcome members in their member dashboard with a lot of ease now. We did a webinar tip of the week before on how to kind of add custom content in the members dashboard. So a member logs in, they're on their dashboard, but you had to do it with custom widgets. So the hurdle there and the shortcoming of that was you had to kind of code it yourself with the HTML editors in the widget manager. What we've done is, and our plan was from the beginning, is to use text editors for this, so that you can just like you create landing pages, you can update content in the member dashboard. And let me show you where those text editors are. And it is for each membership level. So if you head on over to the Finance tab, back to Membership Plans, and let's just edit one of these levels here on this sample site. So there's a couple things that I want to mention here. One is, if, for example, this membership plan, you can upgrade to other membership plans. If you go to the Pricing tab and scroll down, there are two text editor fields here. The first one, that says upgrade page header content. If I'm logged in as this member and I go to my upgrade page, this is the content that will show, like, why should I upgrade to another plan? Like, want more benefits, want more features, upgrade to one of the plans below. The one on the right is, let's say there's 2 plans to upgrade to. This would be the benefit of upgrading to this specific plan here. So it's better if I show you guys, but I want to show you also the member dashboard text editors as well. And then I'll show you where you can, I'll add some content so we could see what it looks like. So under additional settings, under member dashboard, and by the way, just as a spoiler alert, we are going to be separating these member profile settings and member dashboard settings into their own tabs. Right now they're clumped together under additional settings, but it's grown so much that now it does warrant to be their own tab. So we'll be doing that shortly as well. So under dashboard, member dashboard settings, over here you can have some custom header content in the member dashboard. And if you toggle to text editor, you can just use the text editor just like normal. You can put images, text. You can use all the toolbar options here for text colors and sizes and things like that. So if you wanted to provide, maybe in the member dashboard, if there's members only content available to those members, you can certainly make the quick links to that members only content right there in their dashboard. If you want to welcome members and encourage them to complete their profiles, you can write those messages here. So you have the choice of doing it at the top of the member dashboard or at the footer of the member dashboard. And once you toggle to use text editor, you will see the 2 text editors. Prior to this, as I mentioned before, you would just have to use a custom widget, which would require you to use custom HTML coding and things like that, which most people aren't too familiar with. So now you can use the text editors. So let's just add some sample content here in the header. This is how to complete your profile. And let me just take a video from YouTube real quick. And let's put a video in there. Maybe you have a tutorial video on how they can complete their profile. So let's just share this here and get the embed code for it. Okay. And we'll just put that here, embed a video. Perfect. And we'll just make a nice title here. Make it bold, and let's even give it a color. We'll just make it purple in this example. So let me just save the changes here. Perfect. And let's go back and actually log in as one of these WLD advisor members. So now we can see in the dashboard, now I did something pretty crude and pretty quick, but you could definitely make things nicer. We now have a title here, we have the video here, and you can use all the same things that when you're creating a landing page in the web page manager here as well. It's the same text editor essentially. So you can add images, videos, and things like that. So I had added this content as the header, so we see it above all the other member dashboard items. If I had added it in the footer, it would show at the bottom here, right between this content and the footer there. So you guys can play around with that. I think it's a great place to add some calls to actions, encourage your members to connect on your social media accounts. You can put your Facebook links. There are more and more things you can add right in the members dashboard to create that personalized experience based on the membership plan they're associated with on your site. So interested to see what everyone does there with that. So let me just quickly delete those there. And there we go. And we'll just save the changes back. All right, so those are some really cool things that are available now. Some things that are really close down the pipeline. Creating and saving member smart lists is just going through a QA process right now. With that, you'll be able to segment, you'll be able to search for and then segment and save member lists in your admin area. Right now, you can search for members in your admin area, and with the add-on, you can export specific member searches. This way you'll be able to lock them in and save them on your site. And then phase 2, we want you to be able to select those smart lists to be included with the newsletters that you send out with your campaigns. This one is actually, it'll be ready for sure by the next webinar presentation. Landing pages for your post categories. So, if you have a post type, like products, and one of the categories is furniture, you can create a specialized landing page very easily for that post type and that post type's category. So that's going to be really good, not only for the user experience on your site, but it will add some additional SEO value because you'll be able to add specialized content to those special pages. A lot of security things are coming down the line for BD. One thing that we're going to put in your control and your power is being able to log out any additional admin or team members on your site. So in the event maybe you notice some nefarious activity or someone's no longer with you, you can definitely make sure they're no longer logged into your admin area with the force logout button. And also, in addition to that, you'll be able to invite existing people in the BD network to collaborate with you on your site. Right now, they have to set up an additional email address just to have access to your site. You'll be able to, just in a few clicks, if someone is already in the BD network, just invite them to collaborate with you on your site. And also, you'll be able to set the admin role, the permissions they have to work on your site. So maybe they just have access to edit content, or they have full access like a regular owner would. This next one is pretty big. I'm gonna catch my breath for a moment. And it's been highly requested for years. There were just other items that were priorities, but the ability to move subcategories that you've already created to instead be under a different top-level category and just move it within a couple clicks. That workflow and logic is coming soon. So if maybe you're going to delete a top-level category, you're looking to consolidate some of your category structure, you can do so without having to reassign a bunch of members to the new categories. You can just very easily and smoothly move subcategories to be under new top categories, and the members' logic will follow accordingly. And there's a ton of more updates coming soon. I could continue and go on, but we have just a little bit limited amount of time. So yeah, lots of lab updates. Thanks for all the suggestions. And David, I'm going to pass it over to you. We have a special guest with us today, Sherilyn Delgado, one of the BD support heroes here with the family. So you guys wanted to cover the Google Maps API setup. And just before we dive into it, I just want to say most people might already have this taken care of on their sites, but we have a lot of new people who signed up and started their BD sites. And this is just some good troubleshooting ideas for when things may not be working with the Google Maps API as well.
Yeah, setting up the Google Maps API is one of the kind of first steps that we recommend when setting up a new Brilliant Directories website. And once you do that, it's kind of a set it and forget it kind of thing. The only other time you should really need to go back in and maybe adjust something is if you ever update your domain name. But other than that, once you have it set up, you should be able to just leave it as is. But as Jason mentioned, we have had a lot of new users sign up recently. So we did want to go over some kind of troubleshooting tips, because it is a multi-step process to enable the Google Maps API. And although it has gotten easier over the years, some people still do run into various problems when setting it up. So we wanted to give you the best practices for if you do have any issues, what steps you should go through to troubleshoot it, what we can do to help you out, and what resources we have available to hopefully help you troubleshoot whatever issues you may be encountering. So Sherilyn she's on our support team. I'm sure some of you have already interacted with her a little bit if you've ever submitted a support inquiry, but Sherilyn will go through those best practices for troubleshooting the Google Maps API.
Hey guys, I hope everybody's doing good. Yeah, so we're just going to dive into some of these topics. So the first one, the first topic we're diving into is what does the Google Maps enable for your site? So this unlocks a lot of functionality. We're just going to quickly read over these, and then I'm going to jump over to the demo site and we can show some of these live. So a lot of the benefits is assigning latitude and longitude locations to all of your member profiles and your member posts, such as job listings and classifieds, all of the location-based searches that the members can conduct, We have all of these fun Google Maps with pins. They're very interactive. This also helps with all of the lead matching. You know, when a visitor comes in and submits a lead, it matches them automatically to the member, you know, within the location specified. We have add-ons that use this functionality. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate some of it on our demo site.
Awesome. Yeah, let me pass the presenter role to you.
All right, perfect. Okay. Yep. So like I was saying, so members can conduct location searches, you know, based on where they are, what they're looking for. Very interactive. You have the drop-down suggestions, and these sidebars are available throughout all of your site in sidebars, in the header mini navs. We mentioned how you can assign locations to all of your members, so this is very beneficial when they're coming up in all of the search results, and for the posts as well. As you can see, you can assign specific locations. And we mentioned the fun interactive maps with the pins. For example, once the location has been assigned to the post, in this case, the classified, we have this fun sidebar widget that displays the location. You can zoom in, zoom out. Same thing for all of your member results. We have the map view option. It provides a lot of information as well. Here we have like the member profile, their names, and yeah, it works exactly like Google Maps does. You know, you can zoom in. It gives you all of, you know, the accurate location, so it's really beneficial. So this is just like the basic functionality, and it's available for all of your site. Anywhere you see a location, this is what we use the API key for.
You had a good point there. If you go back to the list view also, when you're doing a location-based search, it'll actually show you how far a member is from the center of what was searched. So the member, we know their latitude and longitude, and we know what the visitor is attempting to search for. So it's really good to see that. And then when a member, there's a feature where members can be listed in all locations. It doesn't matter what their address is. Maybe they provide services globally or nationwide. They do have the serves your area tag as well there. So yeah, lots of good information. But all this is powered by the Google Maps API being connected to the site. All right, so yeah, Google Maps API does a lot on the BD sites, and it's really important. Here's an important one: where to find documentation.
Yes, so we've made sure to you know, have all of this documentation that we've made available to you guys, you know, within our support center. And we'll go ahead and visit the support center in just a minute here, so you guys can access that using that link. Perfect. Yes, exactly. So this is where you can find all of the documentation that, you know, we work very hard to keep up to date, and include anything that you might need for Google Maps and everything else on the site. So we also have that search bar. You know, you can type in Google Maps and it'll, you know, bring up all of the articles within the documentation center, so that if you know what you're looking for, you can just type that in and find it. If not, we have one main guide article, which is how to set up your API key for the first time. And usually this is the only article you need to go through. It's got, I believe it's 12 or 14 very detailed steps as to, you know, what you need to do step by step with screenshots. So for example, in the first step, we have the link that we provide for you guys to go ahead and set this up. Once you click on this link, you click the Get Started button. It sets up your account for you. Fill it in with your information. We're going to jump over to step 4. Because step 3 is just filling out the account. So step 4 is very important, because this is where you're enabling the APIs. And these specific APIs all have very specific functions on your site that are very necessary. We have the maps, the routes, and the places. So once you select all 3 of these, we can go ahead and, you know, click next, save them. And then, you know, you'll have a few more windows, just some quick surveys. You know, you answer those according to your needs. And then the next very important step is going to be step 9, where we set up the domains that this key is able to access. So there's really 3 that you need to add. You know, the directory up, if your site is not live yet. We need the manage my directory referrer as well, because this gives access to the key to all of the back end of your site when you're searching for members, if you're matching leads. So that's what this one is for. And then the third example here is in the article, it's I love Brilliant, but you're not going to be including I love Brilliant. It's going to be your live domain name at the end. So this is really important. And then once you set this up, you go ahead and save your changes. And then you need to paste your key within the general settings, the integration tab. So what's really fun is like once you've set this up and you click save, everything's pasted, there's a really great way within the admin dashboard to check and make sure that the setup has been properly, integrated to your site. So if you scroll down to where it says website resources, it'll give you the status of the key on your site. So for example, your API key is working. Like David said, you've done it, you forget it, you've only had to set it up once, the setup was perfect. But if you come here, you check it and it's red, it's giving you an error, we do have a very handy folder with all of the troubleshooting steps that you possibly need for the site. If you go back to the documentation center, exactly, if you type in Google Maps, for example, the issues, this one specifically for billing errors, you can use the breadcrumbs and we can go directly to the folder for the Google Maps troubleshooting. And this one has 6 articles total. And within these 6 articles, we break it up into the 6 most common, troubleshooting steps. Missing an API, you changed your domain, so now you need to edit that again. If you have any billing errors. And we have 2 very important articles for those site owners that don't really want to use this or hope to reduce costs. We have one for reducing usage and costs, which still allows the maps to be enabled on your site, but it cuts down the amount that the API is called. And then we also have another article for completely removing that functionality, which we do recommend, you get a little help from that. It can be a little technical and advanced, but we do provide all of the steps with screenshots so that you can achieve this on your site, if this is something you'd like to do. And then lastly, we have one for verifying your domain. This is something that Google requires. They just want to make sure you're setting up a key for a site that is actually yours. So all of these are available to you guys if and when you do run into any problems. But as we stated, the majority of the time you set it up once and it just continues to work automatically on its own.
And I don't want to sugarcoat this, guys. Setting up these Google Maps is a big pain in the butt. I've actually checked out other platforms such as Shopify to see what their process is for connecting the Google Maps API to such a large company like Shopify. It's the same steps. You need to manually go there. So we've done our best to kind of document it. Videos are a little tough because Google kind of changes the flow sometimes. The logic is still there, everything is still there, but they kind of and the videos become outdated so quickly. It's just easier to keep written documentation with screenshots up to date. So I'm in the same boat as you guys that this is way too many steps sometimes. But the good news is usually once you set it up once and it's working on your site, it should continue to stay working for. I haven't seen anyone have any issues after they've successfully set it up the first time. But just in case you do, I think you put some tips here for us, Sherilyn, about some of the most common issues to troubleshoot, and you've already mentioned a few of them, but this is the dreaded oops, something went wrong message that's associated with the Google Maps when the API is not connected correctly, correct?
Yes. So I've seen this many times, and like we said, luckily it's not too difficult to fix, so we're just going to wrap this up and talk about all of the common issues and where we can find all of this documentation exactly. So something I do want to bring up, one specific thing to make sure is always make sure you're logged into the correct Google account that you use to set up the key. I know sometimes, we have multiple accounts, some business, some personal. So when we're going in to check all of the, APIs or we're following some of these instructions, just making sure that you are using the correct account always saves a lot of time, a lot of headache. So that's always my biggest recommendation. The second is making sure that all of the APIs are properly set up on your site within the API. We have an article going over how to fix this, and it's for the 3 main APIs, which is the places, the geocoding, and the maps JavaScript. But all of this information is in the article, so it makes it really easy to follow along. The third tip we have is to make sure you have a valid billing account.
Just to chime in real quick regarding the billing account, some people don't realize that when you do sign up to create a Google Maps API with Google, they do require you to have a credit card on file. Google started requiring this, I think, close to 2 years ago now, but they do still provide, I think it's up to $200 in monthly credits. And that credit typically does cover any costs you may incur by using the Google Maps API on your website. If Google does start to charge you for your usage, if you do exceed the credits that they provide you, then that typically means your website's generating enough traffic where you're generating enough revenue from your members where whatever amount they may charge you for utilizing the API, it's most likely negligible. So although you do need to have a credit card on file, the vast majority of Brilliant Directories websites won't be charged for utilizing it.
Exactly, yeah. And if you are worried about the cost for your website, we do have those 2 articles we mentioned, the one about reducing costs, or just altogether removing the functionality if that's the direction you'd like to take the site in. Fourth, tip we have is making sure that the domain names are correct within the key, like David mentioned earlier. If you decide to change your domain later on, take your website in another direction, this is one of the main steps that you'd have to complete again, which is just updating the domains, which is a 2-minute process, and we have step-by-step instructions for this too.
Sorry to interrupt. Just want to touch on the domain thing. So part of the ways Google protects your resource usage is because you're the account owner. You tell Google, I only want my API key to work on these domain names. So if someone gets your private API key and wants to use it on their site, or again just some other nefarious activity, that's the reason to have the correct domain name associated with the Google Maps API account. So if you do, as Sherilyn was saying, if you do change your domain name, or maybe you do have all the setup when you have your staging URL, the directoryup.com URL, just remember later to add additional domains that you want to have that API key work for as well. And you don't necessarily need to create additional API keys for different domains and website properties that you own. You could just create one API key, and as long as if it's okay that all the billing or usage is mixed together, you don't really need to go through all the steps. You can just whitelist and add those additional domain names as an HTTP refer in that list there for you.
Exactly, yeah. Google's really good about, making sure that everything's secure on their end. And yeah, just make sure that you have the correct API key pasted over into your site. If you're not sure where to find that, you can always reach out to us. And then lastly, we have one pro tip. If you're just running into issues with your key, you've gone through all of the steps, sometimes it is just easier to start over and create the key all over again. Because sometimes this is an issue on Google's side with the setup, and just recreating the process starting over again, it's successful 99% of the time. Or if you're not sure how to do this by yourself, you can please go ahead and send us a ticket. We're always super happy to help, and we'll get this back up and running on your site in no time.
And Eric asked a really good question. He said he's had his site hosted with Brilliant Directories for 6 years now. And would there ever be a time where he would need to go in and double check to make sure all the settings are up to date? Typically, no. The only time you should need to do that is if for whatever reason you notice on the front end of your site you're running into that like a little error when trying to put in an address for a location-based search, or you notice the maps aren't loading for some reason. You can then go into your admin dashboard, see what the status of the Google Maps API is, and then if it's not functioning properly, then you can go through these troubleshooting steps. But other than that, you should never really need to go back into the Google account and make sure that all the settings are up to date.
Yeah, that's correct. Like, these keys are very self-sufficient. Once you've set it up, it runs, and we don't really make very many changes to this. So it's a one-time setup, and once it's good to go on your site, you don't have to worry about it ever again.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that great presentation. I actually learned a lot from you putting this together, like exactly what the maps and the Places API are for. I'm sure people will have some more questions, but thank you for this. It's definitely going to be useful for people trying to get this set up for the first time. All right, good stuff there. We're looking good on time here. We should be able to hopefully get to everyone's questions here. We'd like to move on to kind of help you guys. Maybe you have some roadblocks or questions about your site. We'd love to help as many people as we can today. So let me just see who has their hand up. All right, we have our good friend Lisa here. How are you, Lisa?
Good, Jason. Thank you. Thank you guys all for these presentations. They're always helpful. Quick question. I think I have this set up right, but could you double check for me? I get emails when somebody signs up, if it's a free listing or whatever. I just want to make sure that I didn't do it where just I'm getting it, so they're not verifying their email or setting up their account. Is that even possible? I just want to make sure notifications are going to the right places.
Sure. What's the site?
epictribe.org.
Okay, let's say you have this Epic Cover Artist membership plan. Let's do the free account, right? Yeah. So a tribe member free account. So if you just want to make sure that they're getting the sign up email, it looks like you have one sent here, the welcome basic. So they should be getting this because you've set for this email template to be sent. And yes, you're getting a copy. Send copy of email to the default website email address. So whatever you have in your general settings, that's basically the owner of the website.
Yeah, I'm getting them. I just wanted to make sure they were getting them because I was like, I hope these people are signing up. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, it looks everything should be working fine here. The best thing to do is maybe just test it. Maybe you have an alternate email address and sign up as a free member, and make sure that workflow is working properly on your site.
Cool. Thank you, Jason.
You're very welcome. Good questions there. Thank you. Some other people. Got our friend Rich here. Rich has his hand up. How you doing, Rich?
Hey, Jason, what's up?
Good, good. Everything's good here. How about you?
Awesome. Hey, just a quick question. For somebody else on our team that's like our community manager, is there a way we can easily, have them, get copied on the, new member when a new member signs up? Because we get copied as the admin, but can you just put like a comma and another email address, or what's the shortcut or best way to do that?
Gotcha. So that's a good question. Let me show you a couple workarounds for that.
Okay, cool.
There's a couple things you can do.
Okay.
The simplest thing would be, you're receiving the emails, right?
Right. Yeah.
So what you could do is in your inbox, your personal inbox, you could set up like a forwarding rule where if you receive an email with this subject line, also forward it to these email addresses. So that's something you can do on your end within your inbox, which I use Gmail for my inbox. Makes it super easy. Sometimes I need things forwarded to kind of like the sales team or the support team based on the subject line or contents of the email. So I have those things automatically set up. There's no way to kind of define who.
You're saying like, yeah, because these get forwarded. We have our domain name, but then it comes into our Gmail inbox. So you're saying just within Gmail we can set up a filter that
exactly.
Okay.
Because it's only going to give you the option to send it to your default email address. Right now, there's no way to include additional ones. So that's why I recommend that if you're using Gmail, I could stop there and just say use the Gmail filters because they're so good for doing that stuff. You could say any emails from to your default website address that has this subject line also forward to the other email addresses.
Okay, yeah, because new member welcome always has the same some of the keywords within the email. Yeah, something
exactly. On, yeah. I would honestly, I would just recommend that. What the other thing I was going to do is kind of coming into your email accounts here under emails and setting up forwards and redirects. But I think managing it within Gmail, it sounds like that's what you're using, would probably be the best approach to start with.
Okay, cool. Well, that was simple.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, good question there from Rich. All right, we got Selva, a new name here I haven't seen. How you doing, Selva?
Dia Selva.
Dia, I see Selva here. How are you, Dia Selva?
Selva, my husband. Okay. Well, we bought 2 directory licenses back in 2018.
Okay.
Worked on it for a bit, and then life happened. We did not monetize it yet. and now it looks like a lot has changed and we have to pick from the scratch. Where do you recommend we start?
Well, if you don't mind sharing, what's your site about? Who's your audience? Who are you targeting?
Indian people all over the world.
Okay, so
People of India settled everywhere.
gotcha. So I know this might be a shock. I do have reservations against websites that are, everything for everyone. Even if it's like, everything that's Indian businesses all over the world, it's an uphill battle. And let me tell you two reasons why. One is it's hard to connect with everyone when it's such a big audience.
Right.
And then two is your personal energy is where do you start? Do you start with the doctors? Do you start with the locksmith? Do you start, so your energy is very limited as a sole
I was
proprietor.
thinking more like the ethnic, the core Indian things, like traditional things. People in business with Indian food or Indian clothing, jewelry,
Okay. And
stuff like that.
and what area do you personally live in? Do you live
Canada, Toronto.
in Toronto, Canada? What you may want to start with is you can maybe want to keep the same focus on your site, but maybe start in Toronto where you actually you have connections to people there who
Yeah.
you might share, who can join, that can help you spread the word locally. And then another thing I would do is when you're adding the categories that members can be listed in, I would also try to minimize that as much as possible. And I mean minimize it down to maybe 10 to 20 categories.
Yeah, I might probably not have those many categories.
Right. So the fewer categories you have, the easier it is to fill them. The more categories you have, you're going to have more work, and the website's going to look empty for a longer period of time. And then the last thing I would recommend is, Brilliant Directories does provide you with the ability to publish coupons and events and property listings and classifieds. I would cut all of that out. Maybe just focus on your blog or one additional thing that the members your business listings can publish in addition to their business information. And just keep the focus very narrow like that. So basically, you can have the big idea, but just start a little bit smaller and start locally. And then you can always expand as you start growing, and your focus will be spent better locally rather than globally to start with.
Right, okay.
All right. Well, good luck with your site.
Anything that you suggest on the website?
Keep things simple. On your homepage where it says search for members, don't do that. Say the number one resource, or talk about the emotional benefit of why people should use your website, not what they're actually doing on their website on your homepage. Always start with the emotional benefit of why people should join your site or what it's going to solve for them emotionally. And then you can get into technical features of the website and favorite your favorite members and save them and all those things later.
Okay. One last question before you go.
Okay.
The licenses can be moved over to different domain?
Yeah, you can change under settings in the domain manager. You can manually update the domain to whatever you like, whatever you need the site to be for the license.
Awesome. Okay.
All right. Thank you for your questions. Yeah, join us in future webinars. Love to see what you do with your site.
I'll be there for the next few. Yes.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Jim.
You're very welcome. Okay, good question there. All right, guys. If we didn't get to your questions, I do apologize. We're just a little bit over the time limit. I just want to give a special thank you to Sherilyn for joining us in the support corner here for Webinar Wednesday. Awesome information there. If you do have more questions and we weren't able to get to them today, please join us in our Facebook group. You can head on over to brilliantdirectories.com/Facebook. We could definitely continue the conversation there. And on behalf of myself, David Rockland, and the entire Brilliant Directories family, thank you so much for joining us today. Next webinar will be in 2 weeks from today, and we look forward to catching you there. So have a great day and a brilliant week, everyone. Bye-bye.